Hello and welcome to Rise YouTube channel. My name is Abdul Shah, and in today's deep analysis video, we are going to discuss about this article. The article which surfaced in today's Hindu newspaper, that is 5th of June, titled Fire Done For, and all the important facts which are required for UPSC has been noted down by our team, and we have made a separate article on the basis of this article of Hindu, which we are going to see in very short time. Second part, what is the title of our article? Our title is Urban Fire Disaster in India, Governance, Safety and Accountability. The third, if I study or if I continue, if I join, if I stay with this session, how it will help me in my preparation? It will help you in a preparation. The answer would be after reading the question. The question goes, recurring fire tragedies in Indian cities are less of a consequence of accidental ignition and more a reflection of governance and regulatory failure. If these kind of question surfaced into the mains paper, UPSC mains paper, I'll make sure this article will be well capable for you to handle this kind of question. So once done, where it will help me, how it will help me, what all other things in a gist have been mentioned here. Let's now directly jump into the article. First would be the context. Why did we suddenly talking about urban fire? Because recently in Delhi B&B fire case and Muzaffarpur hospital fire case exposed some serious lapses in the urban fire safety measures. Not only this, we have seen multiple other instances like Upahar cinema fire and Arpura nightclub fire, which again highlights that this security or safety lagging is persistent, and there have been similar kinds of safety failure in the past and ongoing. So this theme becomes important for us. Now, jumping onto the theme directly, that is urban fire accident. Let's now discuss, once the context is set, let's now discuss how and what and through which we can prevent these things. First would be the introduction. Urban fire accidents are no longer isolated incidents, but it is an indicator of governance deficit, weak enforcement, and a poor disaster preparedness. Even if it is happening, we are unable to find mitigation efforts and post mitigation measures. This somewhere reflects the challenge of maintaining a rapid urbanization while ensuring citizen safety and regulatory compliance. At one place, when we are speaking of modernization, on the other hand, we are unable to provide the basic safety which this modern infrastructure must have. This was the introduction. Now, what are the key issues that are associated with these fire tragedies? Why do the fire tragedies reoccur again and again? The very first would be the regulatory failure, where we get to see violation of fire clearance, occupancy limit, and safety norms remains widespread. The second would be structural violation, where illegal modification, blockade exit, and unsafe building layout increase casualty. Once the incident is happening, these kind of violative structurals or modification somewhere exacerbate or increase the possibility of more damage. Weak enforcement, where we see there is lack of inspection and irregular inspection, which is largely reactive rather than predictive. Accountability deficit, where the focus is always on the owner, where the incidents has happened, and while the regulator is always free, where regulator should also be kept under the umbrella for accountability. The next would be the planning gap. As I was speaking of, day by day we are modernizing and investing on modern infrastructure. But what we are forgetting is the sustainability of that modern infrastructure because of lack of urban planning or urban planning gap, where congested settlement, narrow roads, and land uses violation hinders the emergency response during this kind of disasters. Next would be the vulnerable population at risk. Though all the section of the society gets affected because of this fire outbreaks, but not all the sections of the society are equally affected. We get to see only some are the most vulnerable part, where elderly persons, patient children, and person with disability face greater evacuation challenges. And at last, weak legal deterrence. Because of lack of deterrence among the violators, we get to see there is repetition of these kind of fact, which is again leading to a disaster, a man-made disaster. So once we have understood the issues associated with it, let's see why is it so difficult to minimize or lesser its effect of vulnerability. The first challenge would be the rapid urbanization, as I was speaking. The urban expansion has somewhere outspaced safety infrastructure and regulatory capacity. The second would be informal economic activities. Because of lack of formal structure of economic activity, we get to see many establishments operate beyond approved norms. Even monitoring, absence of safety culture, where the society in itself doesn't promote the safety culture, where fire safety is treated as a compliance rather than a life-saving necessity. There has to be change in heart with the change in mind. Institutional fragmentation. Everyone's responsibility is no one's responsibility, which is reflected under these kind of incidents, where we get to see multiple agencies are somewhere answerable because of these happenings, yet at the end of the day no one is answerable. Everyone is shifting blame to the other side, which is again creating a infrastructural deficit, where inadequate fire station, even if there is fire, we don't have adequate fire stations, equipments, and emergency accesses to reduce the effect. The second last would be capacity constraint, the extended point of the previous one, where even local bodies often lack manpower, like municipalities, where there is lack of technical expertization, monitoring system, which we will address on way forward. And the last is profit over safety, where there is lack of safety culture. There we get to see there is more profit driven society rather than safety driven society, where cost cutting is often lead to neglection of critical safety measures which are very much required during this incidents. Okay, once the challenges are done, now before drawing a way forward, let's see what are the existing institutional frameworks in place so that we don't repeat those facts on when we are writing way forward. The first would be National Building Code, where it prescribes fire prevention, evacuation, and building safety standards. All are listed over there. Even in model building bylaws also, we have integrated fire safety requirements into urban development approvals. If we consider Disaster Management Act of 2005, it also provides for a framework for prevention, preparedness, and mitigation, and respond to any disaster, even like these man-made disasters. Smart city mission, how it is related? It is related as it promotes technology driven or technology enabled urban resilient emergency management, where technology will help us to minimize this kind of incident and will also help us to reduce the effectiveness of this outbreak. And a perfect example would be Amrut 2.0, where it strengthens urban infrastructure like fire stations, equipments, and reducing again disaster vulnerability. Now, let's look upon all the way forwards that can be mentioned for the challenges after we have seen all the government initiative already in place. There should be a preventive governance rather than a curative governance. Shift from post disaster action to regular risk assessment compliance audit must be placed in. Stronger accountability should be fixed so that not only owner is accountable but the regulating body is also accountable. There should be technology based monitoring where we can use GIS mapping, digital approvals, and real time compliance tracking. Next would be independent safety audits, where not only these authorities are responsible, even independent safety audits can be made by third party, where they will somewhere scrutinize all the work done by the owners, all the stakeholders, owners, and the regulator bodies. There should be a fire sensitive urban planning in place, and a safety culture should be inculcated among the citizen and all the institutions, where there should be fire drills, awareness campaign, preparedness training. Even the locals are also trained so that they are not dependent on only the firefighters. Better coordination among multiple institutions. Whoever is working under the same head should distribute and manage work accordingly so that everyone is responsible at the same point of time, everyone is answerable. The next would be protect vulnerable groups. As we have seen, the effect of these disasters or this outbreak are not equally beared by all the strata. They are mostly beared by the vulnerable groups. Therefore, there should be a special evacuation in place for vulnerable sections. Stronger legal deterrence. There should be a strong legal deterrence for those who are repeated offenders. And even after giving warnings, who are again doing the same should be dealt with harsh measures. And build a urban resilient infrastructure in long term, where we will see integrated fire safety into broader disaster reduction risk and urban resilient strategies. Once the way forward is done, now we can jump on to conclusion, where we will conclude all the ideas which we have discussed till now. The idea goes like this, where urban fire disaster are rarely caused by a single spark, and they are often the outcome of accumulated regulatory failures, weak enforcement, and poor urban planning at place. So, only addressing a single part will not lead to a desirable result. We will need a accumulated or a well structured preparedness where everyone should be accountable and everyone's role should be put in place. Building fire resilient cities require preventive governance rather than curative, accountable institutions, and robust safety culture and citizen centric urban development. Therefore, in the second para, the onus is not only with the regulating authority, but the onus is also shifted to the citizens, where there should be a change in heart. also. With this, I would conclude this session, and I hope, like every session, this session was indeed helpful for your preparation. If it was indeed helpful for your preparation, I would like you to like this video and subscribe to Rice IS YouTube channel. And yes, if you are wondering from where we can get the detailed PDFs, it is available in the Rice IS website. Thank you.